Oh, books! I have nothing better to do. I've been stuck in this house for 3 weeks! I should really get on that. Why not? Hello everybody, my name is Bill the Mighty Dolphin, and today, I'm starting a book club. Autumn's Fire, a book by Macy Carson. If you've never heard that name before, don't worry, nobody has. She's a young adult fiction author who has published 2 books so far, Autumn's Fire and its sequel, A Spark's Light. And by the time I'm recording this, she is starting work on her 3rd book, Zelda. She's a relatively unknown author, and she mainly advertises her books in VR chat, in the digital equivalent of that one scene from SpongeBob.
It feels like somebody wants to sell me something!
I told you he was on to us.
So I decided to do a little review of it to get the word out there about there, because as we all know, I have a massive YouTube following. Before we open the book, we get this nice cover art by Famin Abdullah. I probably pronounced that horribly, I am so sorry. And the texture of the book feels kind of weird compared to other novels. It feels like one of those non-fiction novels. Like one of those Who Was books you find at your school library. But honestly, I feel like that's probably because she didn't have a big name publisher behind this, so can't really critique. I mean, granted, it's just cheaper to get the book digitally, but do I look like I'm good with money? I literally bought that monitor behind there that I didn't need. And I'm using another monitor as a stand for my phone. So when we open the book, it starts off with a poem about this mysterious lady in gold. So I'm guessing the main villain of this is Abby Lincoln. The story begins with our main character reading a book under a tree. I will never understand what's appealing about this. The outside is hot, muggy, and there are blood-sucking parasites everywhere.
Hi, we've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty.
Her friend Talia comes to say hi and invites her on a double date with Elf Beavis and Elf Butthead.
We'll be talking about
Autumn's Fire by Macy Carson.
that we'll be talking about
The book in all of its strengths and flaws. The date doesn't go well, but Autumn meets this elf boy named Creole, who sticks up for her while Talia abandons her. Friendship! Autumn and Creole hit it off and become close friends. Eventually, Creole takes Autumn to his home in the woods. To get there, though, they have to go through a dark tunnel, and to lead the way, Creole pulls out a fluffy, glowy creature named Puff. If anything happens to Puff, I will kill all of you and then myself. Once they're in the wood village, Creole takes Autumn to the magic shop he works at. Autumn is uncomfortable around magic and runs away. Okay, so this is just something that bugs me a lot with fantasy worlds. When magic is a common part of life like it is in this world, it becomes less mysterious and less, well, magical. Now, I subscribe to the philosophy that all magic is just science we don't understand, and I'm very keen on everything having a sensible explanation. So this could just be a me thing, but I feel like the word magic in these stories always means something different than it does for the real world. Anyways, Autumn runs through a dark tunnel, and Creole catches up to her and stops her from aggravating the dragon from the never-ending story.
Yeah!
You're a little too heavy, buddy.
Yeah!
We're going down.
Yeah! Yeah!
Who also happens to be a god. We'll come back to this later. The book doesn't, but we will. Next, turns out Talia is dating Beavis, and Talia invites Autumn so that he can apologize. But Butthead comes along and is a jerk again. Creole then comes along and tries to get Autumn to try some magic. Turns out she's good at fire magic.
Oh, that's why they call it that.
So earlier in the book, and on the back summary, Autumn has this random nightmare she can never remember. But now, she somehow can remember it, and it's the Ganondorf introduction from every Zelda game.
It's getting hot in here, so take off.
She goes to the magic doctor, who gives her a ring that casts away nightmares. Alrighty, time for the roller coaster that is this book's finale. Talia blames Autumn for breaking her and Beavis up, Creole becomes sex-obsessed, like a middle schooler, and out of nowhere, breaking up with Autumn, yeah, of course they were dating, what'd you expect, and getting with Talia. Autumn ends up in some sort of limbo state where she meets Thea, aka the Woman in Gold. She tells her that in a few months, Autumn is going to straight up murder some people before killing herself, so Thea wants her to get it over with so she can take over her reincarnated body. Okay, so this is where this loses me. So in this world, people who do awful things and die are reincarnated as fire fairies. Everyone knows this, so naturally, they would hate fire fairies. In fact, earlier in the book, Autumn says laws that say killing fire fairies is illegal make no sense. Thea says she wants to walk among mortals, but why would you want to become the most hated type of mortal? Anyway, Autumn accepts the deal, and she bursts into Creel's house. She kills him and Talia, who was staying the night, before jumping off a bridge to escape an angry mob and dies. Autumn is reborn as a fire fairy, but can't remember her past life because apparently what she did was that bad. Or is Thea trying to keep control of her? I don't know, I haven't read the sequel. Anyways, Thea says that she will take control of her body from time to time, and the book ends there. Now this type of book, that being a fantasy romance, is not normally up my alley. I prefer more sophisticated texts. Ow! So initially, my reaction was the equivalent of a toddler's first reaction to a girl. Get it away from me, I don't want cooties. But from looking at it in a more objective perspective, it is a well-written novel. It has its flaws, but what piece of media doesn't? But overall, it accomplishes its goals. It's a thrilling, heartbreaking, and magical story. Now, the book itself ends with a Q&A with the author, Macy Carson. So I figured I should do the same. Thankfully, she accepted my offer to do an interview. So please enjoy. Hello everybody, my name is Bill the Mighty Dolphin, and today I'm bringing you an interview with Macy Carson, the author of Autumn's Fire and A Spark's Light.
Hello.
And we're gonna be asking her some questions, but first, do you wanna tell the audience a little something about yourself before we get started?
Sure. My name is Macy. I'm a author of 2 books, like you said, and I love writing, sewing, anime, gaming, all that fun stuff.
Alrighty, then on to the questions. First question, what inspired you to start writing?
I've always kind of had these stories in my head, especially from like role playing, and sometimes I get dreams about stories and stuff like that. So, but for the 2 books I've written so far, it was mostly I had a role play character named Autumn, and I wrote the first book as her backstory, and then the second book as her wrapping up and finale.
Okay, you just answered the second question as well, but screw it, I'm gonna ask it anyways. Is there any specific inspiration for Autumn's Fire?
Yeah, so it was the character Autumn that I made, but it was also just real life stuff that happened to me back in high school that caused the main what is the word I'm looking for? The main conflict. Yes, conflict in the book.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
You didn't end up committing arson, did you?
Oh, no. That, the very ending part, not me, but like the dating, the boyfriend, the best friend, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that happened to me.
Oof. Next question. What is your writing work schedule like?
It honestly depends, because for Autumn's Fire, I wrote the book in a month, and I was in an ADHD focus moment that made me just work. I worked from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep. But for the second book, it took me well over a year. And I would work pretty much just whenever I had time. So that was more like hobby writing rather than super focused writing.
Alright. What is the first story you ever wrote? It doesn't have to be anything published, just like one of the earliest stories you know of you coming up with.
The first story that I remember writing was about this villain who, he was this like big, like take over the world kind of guy. And he had his wife with him that was helping him along the way. But she died in the process of him trying to take over the world. And he was so stricken by grief that he turned himself in.
Wow, that's depressing.
I guess, yeah. I wrote it when I was in 5th grade.
Well, I've written worse.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think makes a good story?
Emotion for me is what makes a good story. If you can feel the emotion from the characters, if you can feel like what they're going through, then that's what makes a good story.
What is your... Hold on. What do you do when you're not writing?
I watch anime, play games, read manga. I've been trying to get back into reading in general. I've started a book called Fool's War. That's pretty good so far. And I sew.
Neat. What does your family think of your writing?
My mom is very supportive. She loves that I have taken all these ideas in my head and actually put them to paper. Because I've said for a while that I wanted to be an author. I wanted to get into writing, but I never really did it until 2019, November of 2019, when I started writing Autumn's Fire.
Huh. What can we expect from you in the future?
I am writing a book called Zelda, and it will be a fantasy meets post-apocalyptic fiction. And I'm pretty excited for it. It's I've only written the first chapter so far, but I'm really liking how it's turning out.
Well, that's all the questions we have today. Thank you so much for participating in this.
Yeah, no worries.
And I'm bad at wrapping things like this up, so I guess I'll just be, I don't know, would you like to make some sort of closing statement?
No, not really. Just thank you for having me.
Alrighty then. I will see all of you next time. Once again, thank you to Macy Carson for being part of this. I linked her website in the description where you can buy her 2 books. But speaking of books, I've got a little bit of an announcement of my own. This time it's not going to be cancelled like the last one. Enjoy. Overlooking the vast wasteland their world had become, Iris's room was a constant reminder that she was nothing but a figure, an illusion of fair and just power. Bright pink walls with a rose gold ceiling, silk sheets covering her cotton mattress. Iris looked at her clock. She had awoken 15 minutes early. She decided to use this time to get a jump start on the day. She changed out of her silk nightgown and into a regular daily attire. A red 2-piece royal gown with a short top that cut off below her chest, and a red skirt with a golden finish. On her head, she put her mother's golden amulet. Iris's father always thought it was a bit revealing, but Iris believed it was a symbol of status. I can wear next to nothing and will still be invincible, she proclaimed. She slipped on her red boots and made her hair before her door was opened by a servant. Mistress Iris, your father and your brother are waiting for you in the throne room. Thank you, Archibald, Iris responded. Her father constantly drilled into her head at how she needed to respect the servants. She made her way to the throne room, seeing her father sitting on the throne for what she presumed would be the last time. Her older brother, Gabriel, stood next to him, looking at the gold-plated throne their father sat on, knowing that in short hours, it would be his. Iris looked at the empty throne next to her father. Iris, Gabriel said with excitement. For once you were on time. I'm guessing you know what day it is. Iris rolled her eyes. You have only been talking about it for the past year, Gabriel. Gabriel laughed. How can I not be excited? He asked. Today is going to be the start of some great changes for the menagerie, Iris interrupting with a mocking voice. Gabriel, I'm proud of you, but please shut up for 5 minutes. Save the pomp and grandeur for the ceremony. Gabriel smirked at Iris, and the two broke out into laughter. Their father smiled at his children. I'm proud of both of you, he stated. Now then, the ceremony begins in 2 hours. I hope you are both ready. Iris and Gabriel both nodded their heads.